Hi there traders, Chris here from Elite Currency with another new video on the euro dollar and pound dollar. Alright, the euro dollar ended up with a bullish candle last week after bouncing off 115. I was expecting 114.50 as the target because of the 50 fib on the weekly chart. Let's add that right now. You can see that price was pretty close to that target, but eventually bounced off the previous bottom at 115. So what's going on? Let's zoom into the daily chart. And I think this was either a truncated wave 5 here, this last push lower, or it is still an expanding kind of triangle pattern, with this being an A, this B, up we go for C, down for D, and up again for E. So that could be also possible that the wave 4 is being expanded. This obviously being a very strong bearish momentum to the downside, that's probably wave 3. The question is, has wave 4 finished and wave 5 finished? In that case, we would expect an ABC, or has price extended this wave 4 through a triangle pattern? In that case, we would expect lower highs and higher lows like this, triangle pattern, and a break of that triangle probably to the downside for wave 5. All right. Now, this particular bottom, as far as I can see, did not get broken. So it could be this triangle pattern, but it's not very common. I would say that double bottom is not something that I think is often recurring. So I'm leaning towards a truncated wave 5. Therefore, I think that the downside is probably completed, I say with some caution. And basically, we're, I think, looking at an ABC to the upside now to retrace this entire down move. So from my perspective, the odds of these 5 waves and then a wave A correction, where 5 waves were visible within that wave A, like this, wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is probably completed. We're probably going up for wave B and down again later on for wave C. All right, so that's what I'm expecting at the moment. So this wave B, where could it finish? For instance, at the previous left shoulder, right? It could be a head and shoulders pattern like this. And if we put a fib from the very top to the very bottom here, then we're looking at around 61.8 fib resistance for a wave B completion. So we expect a wave ABC within wave B. So let's take a look at the daily chart. So obviously this is not a triangle pattern if price breaks above these tops, right? That's the confirmation that the triangle is definitely off the table. So what do we expect from a wave A? Well, we can, for instance, let's take away this fib. We could, for instance, expect price to go to this top, bounce back down, for instance, and then hit these fibs and then move up to the target like this. That could be a very classical ABC correction on the euro dollar. So there seems to be upside even if we think it's a wave 5, or even if we think it's a triangle, all right, to this particular resistance spot. So for the moment, upside, I think, looks pretty likely up to about 118.30ish. So it gives us some space to the upside. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. All right, there we go. We had a break of the resistance trend line, and we also had a break, of course, of the support like this, and we had one more lower low, but then we had a close and reverse and bullish engulfing twins right here, indicating the upside, and we had a follow through of that. All right, HMA is up, momentum is up at this moment. Let's go to the hourly chart. All right, there we go. So what could happen is maybe some retracement first. Before we move up, there is a uptrend at this moment on the 1-hour chart, so we're not sure how far the retracement might go. We can put a fib from the very bottom to the very top, like this. There we go. And 38.2 fib could be bouncing levels. Let me change the template here and take a look where the 21 EMAs are. All right, there we go. And for instance, if price dips below the 21 EMAs, we're not sure where it will stop necessarily. It could be any of these fibs if you put back the fib from here to here, like this. But if it re-breaks above the 21 EMA, that could be a potential breakout for the upside towards those previous tops at around 118. So I think that this breakout is possible. Now, if price re-breaks below the 21 EMAs, but keeps falling and stays below the 21 EMAs, then there is obviously no bullish breakout, and who knows, this could still be, downside. But in that case, price would need to break, from my opinion at least, break below this 115.08 before the upside scenario is invalidated. All right, so it depends on how price will break. If you don't like the upside, don't look at these fibs. Just look at the break below the 21 EMA and the re-break above it, because that's the more confirmation for upside. If price breaks below this bottom, all right, right here, then I think that there's a good chance of price going to 114.50, which is that 50 fib off the weekly chart. So I think that's about it from the euro dollar perspective. Let's take a look at the pound. It is more or less the same scenario. We had a lower low, but we had also a pretty strong response or rejection to the upside. So we have a big wick at the bottom of that candle, and it ended up as a doji indecision last week, with the bulls regain control at the end of the week. So are we looking at a completion of wave 5? And in this case, it could be even perhaps a bit more likely that wave 5 is completed, because we had a lower low. We didn't get to 130.80, but we did hit 131, so that was pretty close. And we see with these bullish engulfing twins on the daily chart that more upside is possible as well. For our chart, momentum to the upside. We might see a retracement though, if we look at this time frame. So we got to keep an eye on a potential for an ABC here, but I wouldn't be surprised if price bounces at support. Support could be this left shoulder, for instance, and it could be a inverted head and shoulders pattern. Support could be a fib from this very bottom to this very top. Look for 78.6 fib, for instance, pretty common for the pound dollar, but it could even be a 61.8 or 50 fib for that matter. Look for an ABC pattern like this back to those fibs, for instance. You could use other tools, of course, as well to determine those support levels. But for the moment, I think that that is the most likely. Now, if price, rather than making an ABC here, shows a lot of bullish momentum here and then starts making a flag, then of course an uptrend could continue. We might see a channel being built like this. That's very possible as well. We can actually keep an eye on that by putting a trend line like this, connecting the bottom like this. Something like this is something we could expect on the pound as well. So specifically, if we see price moving up with good momentum here, all right, and then making a correction, then more upside is probably likely, we might say, in this channel for a move up to the minus 272 target and the minus 61.8 target on the pound dollar. And that could happen, if you look at this momentum, we don't necessarily need to get that retracement. All right, with regard to the depth of how far price can move up, if we are looking at an ABC, because if this is a 5-wave completed, we might see an ABC up. In that case, we could put a fib from all the way here to all the way here, and we're looking for price to, well, the first fib would be the 23.6 fib, right? But eventually, wouldn't be surprised to see an ABC pattern up to the 38 or 50 fib or 61.8 fib. So there is some potential at least, but the first target I would say is somewhere around 134 and 134.50. So on a 4-hour chart, that's a target you want to keep in mind, because that could still be pretty strong resistance in this zone. Then it will depend on how price will respond. If we see price move up to that zone like this, if we see, for instance, price move like that on the hourly chart, let's put back the fib from here to here. All right, so if we see a channel like this up to this zone, we might see a reaction in that zone to the downside. If we see an ABC like this, then that could be the A, this could be the B, and up price should go for one more wave C leg that could go to, for instance, one of these two fibs, the 38 or 50 fib. All right, that whole thing is invalidated, obviously, if price breaks through the previous bottom, just like the euro dollar. If it goes through 131, then there probably is another extension of that downtrend down to 130, which is the next psychological round level. All right, so in that case, if it does move lower, then this is in some ways still a pullback. Difficult to see how it could not be a wave 4 anymore, because it basically went through this bottom. So it would have to be maybe some complex correction. Maybe this is still an ABC. It seems unlikely at this moment. If it does happen, we'll analyze it at that point and take a look at the charts. Of course, we do that again on Tuesday and on Thursday. All right, that's it for this video. Of course, this also is the last week of June and the last week of the second quarter, so be careful of that. Otherwise, check out elitecurrency.com for more free daily analysis, and of course, you can download our ECS Start package or check out our ECS Live service where we share our analysis on an intraday, daily basis, regular basis through our Telegram channel. All right, wish you all good trading. Cheers.